Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stacks Cricket Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me as co-host, Andre Doc Manders and Dean Miners. Well, gentlemen, unfortunately, Darey has made contact and he's unable to join us this evening. But let's get right into, of course, the third and final round of Eastern County took place yesterday. St. David's were able to hold on to the trophy that they defended all three rounds. Looking at the makeup of the teams, Doc, what did you think of the Bailey's Bay team? Ahead of the game, what did you think of the Bailey's Bay team?
Oh, geez, I thought they had a good chance. Looking at the team, I really thought it'd be a lot closer. But like you said, it's not what's on the paper; it's what they do on the field. And that betting really let them down on that. I know George and Justin and Seth built really well, but I think it was a lot of the shots were poor selection. So and to chase 100, I mean, all you need is one big stand, and that's what they got. Chris came out there and took it right too.
Yeah.
But like you said, when you looked at Bay's team, you expect months coming out of that team, and I think Trey got a start, he didn't go on, and a lot of other guys didn't get no starts. Tarrant got a low start. I thought he might have hung around, but if you look at the rest, I don't know if it was. Could say it was bad betting or good bowling, but I don't know. Maybe they put themselves, but shocking result.
Dean, what did you think of the St. David's team ahead of the match?
Well, I have a lot built up in me right now. First of all, I'm going to try to stay politically correct. First off, looking at the two teams on paper, right? I personally felt that Bay, of course, had the stronger team, all right, with a little bit of experience, but looking at it on paper, right? So you think, when you see Rodney Trott, you see these names, Terran Frey, Terry, Trey, you pretty much think to yourself, okay, well, on paper, Bay, Malachi, you give them the edge. Fair enough, right? But I knew that St. David's over the last two county games found character. How much character did they find? Well, really, their batting. Let's look at their batting with the last two times that they've opened, right? So they've opened batted the last two times. Well, they've started the innings the last two times, and they've pretty much failed.
Yeah, had to dig this
out. Failed against Flex. They failed against Cleveland, right? So then on top of that, on top of it, they found a way to sort of get away and get out of it. All right. So when I looked at St. David's team, I looked at them. I thought it would be, honestly, I thought I tipped Bay, right? But I knew for a fact that St. David's would have to play out of their skin, but also at the same time play with which they with the other two rounds, they pull character. So they came into the match with a little bit of character and a little bit of confidence. Right? So that's it. How they got pulled out of the match, or how they got sort of off the skate, or they pulled it out, was that when the toss was won, Bay went to bat. So really and truly, I'm thinking to myself, you just let them off the hook. Because in the other two rounds, they struggled. So you initially, the wicket was good, right? So you let them off the hook. Whereas you could have gone ahead, sent them in, and see how much character they really had. Because the bowling attack that you had with Kyle, with Malachi, with Rodney, with that bowling attack, I would have gone ahead and said, you know what? You guys, I'm sending you in. Because remember, if they bat second, they have an opportunity to draw the game out and dictate the game, right? So fair enough, right? So Bay, in that sense, Bay got it wrong. When they were in the field that gave St. David's more confidence. Once one wicket fell, once another wicket fell, that was all the confidence that they needed. And I tip my hat off to St. David's because at the end of the day, they just basically did what they had to go ahead and do. So what can you say?
Yeah.
That's a true champion, right? But going back to Bay, first off, the toss. Second, the batting lineup. I'm like, it didn't make sense to me. The batting lineup didn't make sense to me. If you're going to go ahead and your approach is to score as many runs as possible and give yourself an opportunity to build maybe 65 overs at St. David's, well, you know what? Honestly, Terran Frey has to open bat for me. He has to. The batting order, I looked at the batting order and I'm like, was there much confidence left in that team for the batting order?
Well, they lost the only opener that's been batting opening off the seventh ball of the game. That was Rodney Trott. He was bowled on the first ball of the second over.
Yeah.
But then you had the wicketkeeper Sinclair Smith, who hasn't been batting that early up in the order, and neither has Terran Frey been batting. The first time he opened was cup match this season. But he can change. As a skipper, you should put yourself there to lead from the front.
But the thing about it, Terran being Terran, right? Mm-hmm. He knows the responsibility of an open bat in the long version of the game. It's no better batsman than him on this island, right? And I mean, arguably, when you talking about the longer version of the game, right? And Doc, you might agree with me. When you talk about if I'm going to a 2-day game, if I'm going to a 4-day game, Terran Frey has to open bat for me. I'm sorry. And as a skipper, when I see my skipper, and I go back to Randall Smith, I go back to Clay Smith, when I see my skipper going to the wicket and leading from the front, it makes people in the back sort of, let's follow the skipper. And especially if you win the toss. If you win the toss and say, guess what, you guys, we're going to bet, I'm leading from the front, you guys sit back, and we're going to go ahead and take it to them. So there were a few things that I questioned. And then, like you said, once they got it wrong, there was no one there that would stand up. And that's the problem that I see. There was no one there that would stand up and say, you know what, honestly, things that happen in Iran, let's just slow this situation up. Let's just take, I don't care how long it takes, and just start to like build this thing again. I'm sorry. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought some of the players were out of character. If Doc, if you can recall, early in Trey's inning, George was giving him a little bit of trouble. He got he just missed outside the off stick, and then he pulled one short straight into the stomach of Brian Hole, who was square leg, but he wasn't paying attention to, and it hit him and it dropped. But I was like, that's uncharacteristic of someone like Trey, who, he's come to the wicket early, and his mentality is, let me stay here and let me build something. And I was like, wow. And then to see Terran's shot before he got out, which the field was up, so he played it over the top. They took the point fielder and dropped him back probably 10 yards. And the very next shot with the very same ball, which Justin held back just a little bit more, Terran was through the shot early and straight into Arande's hands. And I was like, that you don't see that from someone like Terran many times in his inning. He doesn't play out in front of himself a lot. You know what I mean? He waits on the ball, gets behind it. Early in his inning, he was getting behind everything. He was blocking everything. And then like a rush of blood or something, it was like, wow, totally out of character.
Yeah.
What did you see in that, Doc?
I agree. It was almost like these guys was in 2020 mode, man. Especially that one used for Terran and Trey to get out like that. Normally those guys don't bet like that. But I don't understand it either from them betting I don't know if they had a game plan to bet and get a reasonable total and then try to build them out. But I don't know if they was looking at the first two games. Both teams, like Flats and was trying to be behind, and both times was in trouble. Like just if you look at Cleveland's game, I mean, if you think they should have really be playing Cleveland, but that didn't happen.
On top of that,
maybe they had some other intentions.
Yeah. If you look at it, Flats had St. David's 52 for 4. Cleveland had St. David's 38 for 5. I mean, they were able to pull it out, but an experienced team like Dean says, an experienced team like Davis Bay, once you're on top, you gotta close it out, but you gotta put yourself in that position. They allowed themselves to be on the back foot because they went to bat, and it to be honest, it didn't look like they wanted to post a score because so they lost Rodney, but then no one was. I couldn't tell if they were trying to be aggressive or they were just trying to hang around because it was in between. Because Trey started off, like I said, uncharacteristic shots. I'm like, wow, this is not the same guy I've known to play cricket all these years, But then he settled down. But it was difficult to understand what the plan was as the game was going on. Because when Malachi got out playing forward defense.
But Earl, when Rodney got out, and nobody could tell me this, panic set in.
Yeah. Because the one guy they were hoping that would get runs.
Exactly. So what had happened was, and through my analyze, it was just that because he got out, who was going to do the groundwork? Who was going to go ahead and do the mature stuff and say, okay, well, let's build from here and let's go from here. And this is where I can almost assume, because we all we experience it in different teams, but panic set in and they didn't know how to reassess. And that's what happened. So now with him getting out, okay, what's the next plan?
Right.
How do we know? So now we can look at Bay's team and we can look at in that particular situation and say, well, all your chips was left on Rodney. Because after that, what was your next stage? What was your next goal?
I honestly felt they had a chasing team with the batting lineup they had to their, they had a chasing team because once they know a target, Malachi, Zico, exactly. Rodney, they know how to be aggressive. They know when not to be aggressive. But when you got to set a target, your whole game plan is a little different because it's not 10 o'clock in the morning. You got to go to 7:20. What's the plan? Do we stay around for 48 overs and then declare what? So if that's the plan, you almost got to bat. You bat 10, 15 overs, and then you go into that 20-20 mode if that's the plan. But you got to be able to see someone like George. George came into the game. There was a lot of talk about him being injured. He bowled 16 straight overs from 10 o'clock to lunch. I guess it was proving that nothing's wrong with me, and I'm just going to keep putting the ball in the areas, which was giving them trouble. And the thing was, they were getting out at the other end because George was frustrating them from his end. You know what I mean? So, he got wickets, but he was frustrating them just by constantly putting the ball there, beating the bat, just missing the stumps. He had a few appeals for LBW. He got one. There were some other close calls, but just him, doing the business from one end allowed Justin and Seth to do the business from the other end because they only used 3 bowlers the entire inning.
Yeah.
3 bowlers.
And you said it, Earl. Earl, it's probably the best way. And George has probably been in so many different situations that he builds in tandem. George knows exactly what he has to go ahead and do. Once Picnic got out, George knows exactly what he has to go ahead and do. He's going to go. No one's going to take advantage of him, right? He's a thinking builder, all right?
Except today.
All right? So actually, he might have had a good night last night. George in itself, and we've seen it so many different times at Connie game, George, and he just builds within himself, and he knows exactly what to do, where to, and so it's very smart on the other builders to, like, I mean, Justin, and also you got Seth, that they know exactly if George is blocking it, they have to take advantage of me. So I basically have to be also put it in good areas. So that's where you have to take your hat off and say, listen, and I've seen George go across and talk and, the field placement, let's make sure that's right. So again, it's that experience, which I think that a lot of the players don't think that they have, because sometimes you think to yourself, okay, well, you got George and Justin, they play like, but why cut match? There's questions come around, right? But it's building in tandem. It's recognizing the pressure. And from what I saw, St. David's constantly kept the pressure. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's true, Dan. What I did like, right, when Justin start to get ahead a bit, instead of him trying to spin or Brian or anything else, he brought Seth right back on.
Right back
so
on.
You said, it was like a game plan. Like they said, well, it seems like these guys are not betting the medium to good. And I don't know if it was the spot, because every time Chris and Justin will come down and look at the wicket, I don't know. But they brought they brought Seth back up there then, and then Seth finished him off. So their game plan worked to perfection.
Well, I know it was when they got to the Burlers, I had to chuckle a little bit, because here's Zico and Kyle just before lunch at the wicket, and a lot of the outer statesmen that used to play for Bay are telling the two Burlers, who only know to hit the ball as hard as they can, to be patient. And I'm saying, but they haven't been patient for the last 5 seasons. You can't expect these guys to now. And the batsmen are all back in the pavilion. So what's the first thing you think of? Do what I normally do. I'm either going to get them or they're going to get me. Zico had a few big hits before lunch, but right after lunch, what happened? Obviously, St. David's went in there at lunch and discussed the strategy, what they wanted to do, where when they went to lunch, when they were in trouble, those other two teams just had lunch. Because they came back out and St. David's was able to build an inning.
But I still question as it relates to why did Bayless Bay go to bat? I'm still trying to figure it out, because like you said, when you have a team that, of course, in the other 2 rounds was a bit in trouble, that's one. And then also you have a team that you got to look at your makeup of your team and say, can we set a target? But then you're setting a target, but you're still giving the St. David's a way out, because also at the same time, they really don't have to go for the target.
Right. Because
really, they could have went to bat and then just decided to say, you know what, honestly, we can't get it, but we'll play for a winning draw. So you still give them a way out. So I'm trying to think about the logic, and how do you know, even if you have the worst batting, how do you still allow them to bat? I mean, why do you go to bat first? Let them bat first.
Yeah. And then chase whatever runs are on the board as the challenges.
And that exactly. I mean, that's in itself like, hey, listen. So I think, they just got it all wrong.
Yeah.
I totally agree, Dean, because if you look at the makeup of Bay's team, right? They could have easily adjusted that betting around if they would have sent St. David's in. They could have easily adjusted betting around like accordingly. You know what I mean? Because they had a strong betting up. But then you look at the makeup of the team, they had 2 coats, 1 bill, 1 over. And the boy Burgess only bills. I didn't even know if he billed, but his supposed to be in the team for Berlin. Did he bill?
Right? Yeah, he billed. Actually, no, he didn't bill. He didn't bill.
So I know the little boy Jackson billed, but then you're not only when you send them in, at least these guys get a chance to bill to the lesser batsmen.
Yeah.
See, so right now, like there's two coats. It's like they play up. It's like what
They'll be
what
coached
they do.
again next year. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because there was so much pressure on those guys to bet. You know what I mean? Because obviously the batsmen they make runs.
Right.
So they got another one, just like in Cleveland's game, they had the two coats put in last. Again, they two coats put in last and under enormous pressure, both games. So, like Dean said, I don't know the strategy, but a lot of these teams now, I don't know, they just like to bet. I would have done the same thing to Sandomir. It's been all the Eastern Conference games, it's been saying like the team that's been betting first always been in trouble.
Yeah.
World 3.
Yeah, that's right.
So what's the difference with Babe? Babe probably said, well, what's that team with betting? Forgetting like George knows the wicket before, knows the wicket. Justin Bull bet the last 2 games. He's not going to build three games in a row. Come on, you know what I mean? They're playing big. Justin wants to prove, and Justin and Seth has been building pretty good too in the country. So I think they got it all wrong. Man.
Yeah. Well, they have to wait another year.
365 days to sort it out. I'm just worried about Beverly.
I know.
Have you seen the video?
Yeah, I saw it.
They really broke her heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She will be okay eventually.
Yeah.
The good thing is she's been through this road before. She's been on the winning side. So, you know, I guess she was really hoping that this time around, and a lot of Bayless Bay fans would have loved that to change hands. But obviously, it wasn't to be. So you have to go back to the drawing board. Yeah. Another year, think about it. And next year, it'll be done at Lord's. So, you know, we'll see how it goes.
I think they will come back strong next year because they obviously they will probably be doing their homework much more. Did you guys already draw it? Did they draw?
I'm trying to get that now.
Because next they done the draw, so it would be nice. It would probably be good to see where Bay is playing in the next round.
But if I were them, I would want to play first.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a strong team, you always want to. You don't want to play one game in Eastern County and be done. You know, you want to play the first game. If you win, you got 3 games in it. If you lose, okay, fine. But the last game, you got that one shot.
And you got to get it right.
Yeah. Well, there were a lot of predictions about what time that game would end yesterday.
You said close 5 p.m.
Well, the draw is the same as this year. The draw is the same as this year. So Flax would have the first round, Cleveland County the second, and Bayless Bay the final round in 2022. All at Lord's in St. David. So,
and that's strange to do a draw and it's the same, isn't it?
It's only 3 teams being picked out.
Yeah.
Only 3 teams being picked out. So, that's Cleveland Bay. Well, let's take a quick commercial break, and then we have to get into some, I guess, Dean, we'll call it shocking news, because as much as the St. David's Islanders were celebrating last night, they'll be mourning today. We'll be right back.
Yep. We're welcoming back the often featured Whole Food veterans Bragg Live Food Products, renowned for their live probiotic organic raw cider vinegar and savory seasonings. Paul Bragg is the man behind the products that has originated health food stores, restaurants, and spas, and promoted nutrition education through the media, helping lay the foundation for the enlightened way we make healthful choices when we shop for and prepare food. This month we're featuring Bragg Organic Raw and Unfiltered Apple Cider Vinegar and Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
Well, as we talked last week, Doc and Dean, one of the most important games of this weekend was the Premier Division game that would have featured St. George's and St. David's, because if St. George's was to win, it would put an end to St. David's run in the Premier Division. And that indeed happened today, with St. George's beating St. David's by 103 runs at Lords. St. George's batted first. St. David's won the toss and sent them to bat. Alan Douglas, the second, scored 146 off of 57 balls. He had 4 fours and 18 sixes. Arunde Bascom, they opened the inning. St. George's lost a wicket on 40, but then Onias Bascom joined Douglas, and they put on a 203-run second wicket partnership. St. George's were 250 for 3 after 20, with Onias scoring 70 off of 45 balls. In reply, St. David's Cricket Club could only manage 147. They were bowled out. Their top scorer was Ajon Lamb with 36. Let's see, in the bowling department, and Zari Painter took 5 for 18 from 3 overs to lead St. George's to victory and ultimately send St. David's into the first division. So if you look at it now, 3 Eastern County teams will be playing in the first division next year.
This will be interesting.
But if you ask me, Earl, I think St. David will rather go on in the T20 than to win that Eastern County Cup.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah. That's without a doubt.
Yeah, without a doubt. They want to keep that.
That's without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
That the Eastern County Cup means more to them than anything else in this world. So
Yeah.
if they went third division, as long as they're the cup holders, it's not going to bother them. But what we've seen teams that have been dominating cricket over the years, when they go down, it's almost like a chance for them to rebuild. What does St. David's do if the likes of Justin, George, if OJ can come back? What do they do if these guys? Do they keep them around for the experience, filter in some youngsters? Because if we look at it, and we'll go back to that county team, if you take out Chris's inning in the first game, Chris and Mackay's inning in the first game, you take out Justin's inning in the second game, and you take out George's bowling in all 3 games, St. David, those outcomes might be a little different. I mean, those guys did pull it out for them, but you take away those things, those small things on a regular basis, and that it looks a little different. So what advice would you have for somebody like the coach, Ricky Bringman, for next season?
Well, I think it depends on the format as well. I mean, if we're looking at a next year, maybe, we're looking at definitely the 50 over format. And if we're just going to stick to the 50 over format and then, of course, the 20 over format, I personally think that I know that most of the senior players, and hope Ricky would have had a word with them saying, listen, I need you. Let's say if I'm Ricky, listen, George, OJ, I need you for the next so many seasons. Let's be honest. I need you. You're my plans. And now we're looking at because they really have a junior county program down there, right? So now I'm looking at bringing through these youngsters, and they're going to need this much time. So that analysis has to be done very quickly, because you have to see the gaps that you have. So when you start to identify those gaps, Ricky has to be spot on and say, well, this player here, he's going to need another so many years before we can really. And then also at the same time, it's what is my nucleus? Who makes up my nucleus of my players? Do we need guest players? How many guest players do we actually need for the next county? Do we need to bring these guys in to help us along until? So they brought Ricky in as a coach, they paid him, and this is what is going to have to be paid for. And he has to get it spot on.
Yeah. Let me just correct you, because my phone is about to ring. As it was indicated to me, Eastern County don't have guest players, because you have to.
Right. Yes,
You have to qualify in order to play. So
either stay there or play for the club.
Yeah. So Well, how many players that don't play for the club in the league will they need to
stand
keep
correct.
that
Yeah,
top
exactly.
matchup. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically meaning that Mackay or Runde, those players that do not play for them in the league but have lived
Right.
over there, are you still going to go ahead and
Right.
And I'm sorry, I should have known that because I played for St. David's in county game,
Right.
and I was playing at St. David's. I was there
Right.
for 2 years, and I played and I qualified, but I didn't live over there.
Right.
Yeah,
Doc,
but
what advice?
it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. What advice would you have for Ricky?
Similar to what Dean said. It's definitely got to keep one or two of those senior players. I can see like somebody like Sammy probably making late. You know, I mean, Sammy only came out because the shortage of players. But George, Justin, and the other senior players definitely have to stay. To groom those youngsters that is coming through. One thing about St. David's, they always had a lot of good youth program coming on with the Connors, youth. So I'm sure they're gonna have some more. The little boy Painter played one of the games, the first game.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
this
He's
time
got a shoulder injury.
Shoulder injury. And I'm sure it's some more.
75 yesterday, so he decided not to play. So yeah.
And I'm sure I'm seeing some others. This little boy Unai Smith, I think it's Unai Smith. He played. It's a few more down there that's probably ready to come in, but they need some of these senior players there to bring them along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always good to have a couple of senior players when these young guys come. So I'm sure Ricky will probably be talking to at least a few on.
Right. Let me throw this name out for you, Dean. Arthur Pitcher Jr. played today.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny enough. He played the other night with Tough Dogs, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, Earl. Let me tell you, he still has it.
Yeah.
But he's always been in good condition, right? So, riding the bike and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I believe he just came back from Portugal, right?
Right.
But he still, and I was keeping him the other night too, he still looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah. He still looks good. So really and truly, you're always going to get those senior players that would, if you need help, I'm more than willing to come back.
And he's a true club man, so he's going to want to help his club. Yeah.
Of course.
He built 4 of us, 1 for 38 today. So
and he could hold you back. He's an all-rounder too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
He could hold you back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, up at White Hill Field, Willow Cuts recovered from, listen, Dean, 39 for 6 to score 156 for 7. Shaquille Bean and Dean Stevens put on a 98-run 7th wicket partnership. Shaquille Bean scored 79 and Dean Stevens scored 35 to pull Willow Cuts out of a hole. But Rangers would then score 160 for 5 to win by 5 wickets, with Malachi scoring 75. Opening the inning in a chase, he scored 75 from 49 balls, 4 6s and 6 4s and 5 6s in his inning. So, and we all know Malachi is the type of player, he's a tempo player. So if things are going good, he could really change the game, especially when he is chasing it, or when the score is, at a decent, and he's coming to the wicket with like no pressure on him. He's a different, you can see the body language is a little different. So, in that regard, he led from the front to see Rangers victorious. I'm still waiting on the updated result from Somerset and Bay. Once we get that, we'll be able to bring that to you. But in the first division, Western Stars and Warwick remain as favorites to go up. It's just a matter of who's going to win the league because, let's talk about Western Stars first because they pulled off a 9-run victory over Somerset Bridge at the White Hill Fields. Western Stars scored 144 for 7 with Jaden Manders scoring 47 and Trey was run out for 36. They put on an 82-run first wicket partnership in 9.5 overs and they would go on to score that 144. And then they had Somerset Bridge at one point in time, 1 for 13, 2 for 78, 3 for 87, but they were able to get 9 runs short, 135 for 3. Dean, when you hear you're chasing 144 and you get to 135 for 3 with 7 wickets in the pavilion, at what time do you start to just throw caution to the wind? What over do you start throwing caution to the wind? Because if you came up 9 runs short, you're probably looking at an over.
Of course.
So you're by the 16th over, you're looking to just say, you know what? It's a runner ball. You have to go a run. At least you have to get a run.
Yes.
So you get a 6 or a 4. Those are bonuses, but you have to get a run each ball. You can't. There's no forward defense.
What my understanding was, they needed 22 runs in the last over.
Right.
And I think so they got what? They got about 15, 16 runs. So
right.
But still, like you said, somewhere in the middle, if you got all those wickets in hand, somebody's supposed to take a chance. I really don't understand that, but there's no way you're supposed to wait till the last over and you need 22. Right. If you got those wickets in hand the last 3 or 4 hours before then, somebody was supposed to.
So this is the scorecard. So Sean Riley scored 32 from 33. Donnie Charles scored 7 from 8. Adrian Burrows scored 39 from 44. Jason Smith scored 15 from 16. And Clarence Trott scored 27 from 20. That's a lot of dot balls. Yeah. If you're chasing that 144,
it is.
That's too many dot balls.
And again, it goes back to what we were talking about before, that a lot of the times these guys are looking at the 2020 game and they're looking at boundaries. You're looking at boundaries. Yes, you're going to get those big hitters like, of course, with Alan Douglas' strike rate of about 400 today, right?
Right.
That's fine. But the thing about it, if you have to keep rotating your strike, and that's one of the things that I keep emphasizing about this whole and playing cricket shots. So, you might not be a fan of it. I always say you might not be a fan of 2020, but you still got to play proper cricket, and proper cricket is taking singles. Now, just to switch the conversation, this week, right? I said, you know what? I'm gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna study and I'm gonna look at the quarterfinals, right? Delray played the other night. Congratulations to him and his team. So looking at Delray and looking at his team, well, they're hitting the ball right to a player, and the
still taking them.
Just still taking them on, right? So because all it was just basically alleviating the pressure, putting the pressure on the fielders. So when I looked at in all 4 games with all of them that went ahead and qualified, the common denominator, when I looked at Sussex, Kent, Hampshire, and Somerset, because they're all in the semifinals, the common denominator, all of them, they went ahead. I mean, unbelievable hitting, but they went ahead and they challenged the fielders. So at the end of the game, most of the games they had to score about like 15 in the last over, a runner ball, and they pulled it down to almost a runner ball. But guarantee, Earl, and you just said it, from the 15th over to the 20th over, you can see if they were behind, they started to push. They started to, rotate until they got the bare ball.
Yeah, which is something that you have to have cricket in mind, people at the wicket, in order to understand it, because when the end of the over comes, you two have to get together and you have to have a plan. You attack this over, I'll attack the next over. If you're having trouble with this guy, I'll come down there and take it over him, and you do your business at the other end. But you got to have a plan. There's got to be something that you talk about other than, all right, well, what are you gonna do? Because you very rarely see the guys out there looking at the scoreboard, calculating. You don't have that anymore. You don't. What's left? Okay. Let's see where pick out a weak fielder. Because I remember, Dean, and you would remember this. when David Hemp first joined the team,
Yes.
and you guys were practicing,
Yes.
he would push the ball into the covers no matter if a fielder was there or not, and he got on his horse. And if you were the non-strikers in, you better get on your horse too, because that's what he's used to do. Put the pressure on the fielder. You might get me today, but guess what? Tomorrow,
No, I mean, betting with Hemp, he was probably one of the most excellent guys at that. I mean, you had to back up big. And it's funny that you say that, Earl, because the other day I was looking at Del Rey, and I was looking at a lot of the other batsmen. They back up with enough opportunity to give themselves enough chance to get back in the crease. But they're backing up. As soon as the ball comes off the bat, those guys are going.
3 steps down the wicket, mate.
Yeah, they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And you know something that comes from those guys betting together a lot, because remember the calling's got to be good, because if it's a little bit of hesitation, one arm's going to be run out.
Yeah.
It's all right to say like I'm gonna hit this ball straight to him, but that non-striker got to, because he can't see what's happening, but because the batsman that's playing the shots going to the danger, and if you think about it,
Right.
So he's taking a chance. So all the other batsmen, the non-striker got to do is listen to his call and trust him and go. But see, for a lot of our players, they don't trust each other's call. You know what I mean?
Right.
They hit the ball, turn around, and look. You don't have the time to turn around. You got to trust the strikers. Call. You just run. I mean, if he calls, he's gonna get run out. You know.
Right.
So, and then if you don't get there, that means his run go. But no any time, if he calls you and the ball's behind you, you don't look behind. You just go. You know, and these guys are used to doing that.
Looking for that strong call too.
Yeah, I mean, like that, like Dean said, I watch 2020 in the UK all the time, and that happens a lot. You know, even if it's just a little bit to the left or right, and say, "Hard, those guys are going, they're going." They're just going, and and so what does that do? Like, you're trying to, no, that fielder's got to say, no, do I have to come in a little bit more? So maybe he comes in, those guys go over the top. So it's all like, you know, that's all the part of freaking strategy. And 2020 is play like that. 50 overs is sometimes play like that. So we need to trust our batsmen and need to trust each other in the calling part. That's what we need to do.
And Doc, you know, one of the things that you just went on to say, and I totally agree with that, is that 2020 is played this way. 50 overs is played this way. And if you look at the test match this week, right, both tests, you can look at Pakistan with West Indies, you can look at England with India. And if you look at the batting, if you look at the aggressive intent in running between the wicket, it doesn't change. No. It doesn't change. It really doesn't change.
Yeah.
You know, you have to consistently rotate the strike, and it doesn't change. No, and you're rotating it for so various reasons. One, to keep the score rotating. One, if you're under pressure, come down this end because I'm under a lot of pressure.
Let me see where the ball's moving.
And the ball's moving. You know, but that is, you know, I think that we have to really revisit the way that we approach this whole running between the wicket and like you said, and rotating the strike. And the whole thing is, you know, training, man. Yeah. Training. The only way that you're going to be able to go ahead and do this training, because I was always taught that if a fielder is throwing the ball in, watch what hand he uses to throw the ball in.
That's right.
If it's throwing with his right hand, if it's throwing with his left hand. So if the ball goes to his left, it's a run.
Yeah. Because it's got to go around to get the ball.
Because it's got to go around and get the ball. How many players can pick up the ball with the left hand and change hands?
Yeah.
If a player drops the ball on the boundary, not drops it, fielding or misfielded, that's automatic too. So those things have to be instilled in players.
Yeah.
And every run, and like you said, every run counts in 2020.
And being in Bermuda, Dean, it should be no problem because you know all your best fielders. You know, you know, like I saw it when they was betting yesterday. I saw Trey hitting the ball to a few guys, and they was fumbling. I said, if he was betting with his cousin Jaden, they would have taken them.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Finkel or somebody else. he's not doing it now because he's thinking like maybe Sinker's not going to make it.
Right.
But the thing about that's what I'm saying. You got to know your partners. He could have easily been up there and says, "Look, Sinker," because you're facing George. Anyway, you're going to get off strike with George. You don't want to be facing George or hurl over because George got too much strength. If I'm facing George, I want to get up the other end.
Right.
I'm saying you're looking for the single.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to get up if you're up the non-strikers in?
Yeah.
Run out, especially guys burning like that. So I thought I saw at least not only Trey a few times those guys hitting the ball straight back to I think it was McConnell or somebody else. And
McLaren, yeah. He was having a rough time. Where he was fielding, because I had walked out there earlier, it was very spongy where that area was right there. And the ball would pop up or it would stay low. But he was having a difficult time at it. But again, nobody challenged him.
Nobody challenged him. Even when the middle one, I don't know who was there too. Sometimes those guys hit the ball straight for us and they was going for
Brian Hall. Yeah.
Those are the spot areas where you would need to score off George because George is doing it straight. So you had to hit him straight. Guys held him like he would drop the short. George was doing right there.
Mm-hmm.
So you either had to drop it short, take a single, or you're going, like Dean said, you're going to have to hit it straight. And you're putting pressure on those fielders. You know what? Yeah. George would have been going mad. He was getting mad anyway, and he was missing.
Anyway, he was getting hit with McLaren, and he is still stopping the ball.
Right. But
he just wasn't picking it up clean.
So what's George going to do then? Look, come in a little tighter. And then what you do is just hit a little harder, right? Or go over the top. See, cricket's it's a thinking game. And against some of the best bowlers, you have to do how you're going to score runs.
Yeah. You got to work them around.
Yeah.
One of the funniest things is, and I'm just laughing to myself. I remember a certain batsman batting and looking up on the scoreboard and thinking to myself, this guy cannot have 50 already. And that was Albert Steed running between the wicket.
Oh, yeah. It's true.
I'm looking up on the scoreboard. I said, Albert, you just got her. How is it that you just got her? And now you're scoring 50 already. All he would hit is about 3 boundaries. And the rest of the time is drop and go.
Yep.
It's drop and go.
Basically back, guide it. Yeah.
Dean, let me tell you, when we made that little partnership at Somerset when we won the trophy, Clarkie through the ball.
Yes.
Look, I was betting Albert was on 90-something. Hey, Albert was hitting it. And I was saying, and he was telling me, you need to go. And I just backed him and going. That's what he was doing.
Yes.
And that's how he bets. Albert is like, he would drop it and he'll make sure like he drop the field. Not only that, but the field is back. So all you have to do is just trust him and go with him. Only way you're going to get run out if you hesitate.
Right.
So I was saying to myself, I'm not running him. I'll get this one 80. I'll get run out. So I was going, when that bowler was bowling, I was ready for those singles. Even with a misfield, I was ready to go, man. But betting with him, with stars.
Yeah. And the best part used to be if he hit the ball and he felt that it was a run and you weren't paying attention.
Oh. I didn't even look at him. I looked somewhere else.
That's a shame. Al is a cardinal sin.
I didn't even look at him.
Run out of his book, mate.
Man. Hey, that's true, mate. Albert liked guys when he was betting early that could run between you because that's how he gets, or
you get good.
Like Dean said, he's got 20 or 30. He ain't hit a boundary yet. And then as soon as he gets that, the boundaries are coming. That's how he made all his runs cut match. I remember him when I took over captaincy, and even before then, he used to come to him and say, Doc, look, I want to know who the top 3, or, I like guys who be running between you because I know what. He has to have guys up there. Seriously, he has to have guys up there that could run between you because that's, if not, they're going to get run out. I tell you what, I don't know if it's going to get run out, but I know they're going to get run out. But that's how Albert is. That's a prime. And a lot of these young guys that know Albert. So, a lot of the guys that are playing, or maybe a few of the older guys might know Albert. But that's how Albert got away in 50 overs, cup match, Eastern Conference, the same thing, when he was playing for St. Davis. Like, look, I don't know if it's Alan Richards who was batting with him, but they had to be paying attention to me. Because that's how he scores most of his runs.
Yeah.
And to go on, Doc, it's another person that I remember was Richard Beasley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropping
Hooks
on.
was another one.
That's another
Hooks
one.
was another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to be ready because he's coming, and he wants and you're talking about another guy that I remember, Richie Fogo from St. George's. Yuck was another one. Alan Douglas. These guys were master class when it came to
run
touch and going.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, look, hey, let's go. And then you, like you said, you see the scoreboard like, hey, what these guys doing, man? Yeah. So I mean, I think that we definitely have to look at running between the wickets as being something we have to go ahead and put on and accumulating those singles. I mean,
because that stops like you said again, that stops all the dot balls. Like, for a second dot, a third dot, what do we think their batsmen? It was building pressure on themselves. The next time they play a shot, it's a shot probably they ain't used to doing, and they end out. So you got to keep that, those dot balls and rotate the strike much as possible. 20 overs, 20, 50 overs, cup match or whatever it is.
Right. It's
because internationally, I mean, and I think that internationally, when we look at cricket internationally, right, at that standard, which we're looking to get back to and play at that standard and almost, get right back to where we was before, we have to look at these things. And the other thing is, it's the small things. And the other thing is, when I look at, not to change it up, but when I look at the change-up balls that I'm seeing in this 2020 cricket, these guys are building the back of the hand.
Yeah.
These guys are building, like Del Rey, right?
Yeah.
I watched Del Rey. I saw his innings, and the guy went ahead, right? So he hits this guy, and the next ball he was bowled. But the guy, same delivery, same arm action, but a bit quicker. It went right through him, right? It was slower, but it went right through him. But you would never imagine, the same guy with the guy Mills. Same arm action, but it's slower. I think Norbert basically said it's training. You have to train.
Yeah. Hey, you forgot one from St. George's. Daxter Smith was like that too, but anything with Daxter will run you up. Hey, I'm seeing Daxter and Albert sometimes when there's batting for Stars, both of them on the same man, some both of them.
Because all you need is one person to look where the ball went. It's over. Because the other guy's standing next to you. He didn't want to say that, so that's why it's in his head.
Like Daxter, something like that. But Daxter, I'm seeing Daxter. Like Daxter's ran out a lot of people from St. George's, the Stars, everywhere. I will tell you, Daxter will get there, but I don't know about the other person.
He's had a few victims, but I'm seeing it too, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh my!
I'm seeing it, bro. I'm seeing it. Hey, guess what? I never had the honor of being run out by him, but I'm seeing it. It's left me laughing. Yeah, man.
All right, so let's move on to the other game that in the first division, Cleveland and Warwick. Well, obviously, Cleveland would want to have won this match to stay in contention for a promotion spot. They still are, but right now, Warwick and Western Stars have pulled 20 points clear at the top with 3 matches to play. Warwick won this game by 9 wickets. Cleveland scored 145 for 6 with Zeri Tomlinson scoring 65 off of 55. He had 5 fours and 4 sixes. Jody Maroney took 1 for 7 off of 4 overs with them 1 maiden. That's where, if you look at it, 1 maiden, giving up 7 runs in 4 overs and 1 wicket. His other 3 overs, what's that? 2 runs and over.
Yeah.
There's a struggle.
That's excellent.
There's a struggle that Cleveland didn't take advantage of the singles.
Yeah,
exactly.
right there. Didn't take advantage of their singles. And then Warwick turned around and scored 146 for 1, with Dominique Sabir scoring 83 off of 41 balls, 6-4, 7-6s. And Corey Burgess was, but Dominique was not out, as well as Corey Burgess, who scored 40 off of 24, hitting 4 4s and 3 6s, with Warwick claiming that victory with 7 overs to spare. And that was the other thing. 7 overs to spare. They were hitting big, but they were also taking the singles and the doubles when they were available. So they kept rotating that strike. They kept the burlers. They didn't know which side to burl on, because these guys were really taking them to task. So Wild Child agrees with you, Dean and Doc.
Can you stop? Yes, she did too.
She had to welcome Doc. That's right, because she is a scorer. Victims. They were victims.
Hey, guess what? I remember a show notes talking about Dexter. What you do?
That's right, because she don't bite no words when she's ready.
Oh boy, I tell you what, that was our best scorer. Yeah.
And the other first division match, it was Flats defeating PHC by 29 runs. Flats batted first and scored 119 for 3. Reginald Baker was the top scorer with 50 off of 58 balls. Regino scored 19 off of 19. In reply, PHC were built off with 90. Devin Dill scored 43, and I believe the only other batsman in double figures was Kevin Lamb with 16, and they were given 10 extra. So, a big improvement from last week, because if you recall, PHC were built off for 30 last week. So
yeah, 38? Was it 38?
30. They were built off for 30. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Against Cleveland. Yeah. Yeah. So 60 runs improvement, but the same result. But if you look at it, again, fielding a very young team.
They're building
towards the end of their middle. A lot of youngsters. But I mean, if you look at the teams such as Cleveland, because there is only 14. You have the youngster. What's his name? Let me get his name, because I don't want to get it wrong. His mama would kill me.
Worms.
Yeah, Worms. Worms, as well as Worms. Tybray Robinson. Yeah. These guys are still very young and still learning their trade. So,
and you know what, Earl? And you know what, Earl? And one of the concerns that I have, I think we're producing really good cricketers. I think potential is there. I mean, Bermuda's always had the potential, and I think that next year, and I know that you don't want to talk. You want to talk about this next show. Is that we really have to look at our format and get these younger players to play the longer version of the game. Because, we have a lot of good youngsters, and we don't want them to look at this 2020 and start to develop these habits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They have to learn the basics. They have to make sure that they understand the technique and all that other stuff, but making sure that they understand the basic fundamentals, because, again, you can destroy a generation of cricketers if they don't fully understand what they're doing, how they need to do it, and go about it. So I think we really have to be careful, because, like you said, these guys can lose confidence in this 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we don't want them to lose confidence.
I've been one of those behind the scenes talking about, once I learned about it and understood why they do it. In Australia, they play Saturday cricket, where you and Doc will play. This week, if you win the toss and decide to bet, you bet. If you get built up within your X amount of overs, Doc's team goes to bat. And then the next Saturday, Doc's team continues. It becomes a 2-inning game. But you bet the entire day. And then the next Saturday, you come back and it's your turn to field out. And then you get, the way they do the points, because it's open cricket, you get to learn that longer version of the game. It teaches you the patience. It teaches you all the stuff that we need to do for these youngsters to understand and fall in love with the game, doing things the right way and not the shortcut way.
Yeah.
I just
What is your
believe that's
take on
the way
it,
to do
Doc?
I think there's our answer. I mean, the only thing with that one would be like on a Saturday, a lot of these guys work. I think maybe on a Sunday, Saturday, play it on a Sunday, an all-day game. Right? Like you said, Earl, that team will bet. And then the following Sunday, the other team will come. But would it be like overs? No overs because you
It's
cannot
they bet. I think it's 118 overs for the day.
right.
And one team could bet the entire. Oh, no, it's not. I'm sorry. It's 90 overs for the entire day.
A day.
So one team could bet the entire 90 overs.
Well, you know something?
We could tweak it.
That I mean, they could do that maybe early in the season. You know what I mean? So guys could spend a lot of time at the wicket.
Yeah.
But with our I don't know if our league schedule would be hard to implement that though, isn't it? It would be good.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
That really sounds
I think
good.
I think at the end of the day, I think we have to start to figure out what's the outcome.
Yeah.
Because we have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I get the team schedule, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. Like I said, my whole thing, and we were talking about it before when Mr. Boys was on the program, whether it be a Friday night, whether it be evening playing the 50 over, start at 5 o'clock in the evening and go up National Stadium. Right? And then on the weekends, if you so choose to play an all-day cricket game, why not play an all-day cricket game then?
Yeah.
So we're going to have to make provisions to go ahead and say, hey, listen, on a Tuesday night, there's a cricket game on a Tuesday night that's starting up at the National Stadium at 5, finishes at 12 o'clock. Who would not want to go up and after work to say, no, I'm going up there to see a game.
Right. Yeah.
So we have to make provisions because right now, again, we're sort of behind the 8 ball when it comes to getting guys to develop in the balance and all that other stuff. So we can also look at Saturday and Sunday. Hey, listen, midweek game, you got this game, but on Saturday you got an all-day game. And work the schedule like that. It doesn't always, you know what I mean?
Because we're thrusting these youngsters. Yeah, we're thrusting these youngsters into predicaments which can kind of send them away from the sport. I mean, Doc, you mentioned it earlier, where you had 2 Colts at the end of the Cleveland game, and you had 2 Colts at the end of the Bay game.
Bay game, yeah.
Emotionally, how do you recover from that? How do you you're 2 young guys out in the middle, if you're the last guy to get out, you lost the game. Not all the guys up in the pavilion, because you were the final wicket. And then guys, the way we have to make sure that we don't allow their mind to start drifting that way. We need to protect these young guys. If years ago when a young guy broke into the team, if he was a batsman, he was early up in the order. He weren't last. So we gotta be able to be mindful of what we're doing with our youngsters, because you want to play them, but you show them that you got selected, but you're on the back of the bus and sit down, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good because we did it at Cup Match, right?
Yeah.
Somebody reminded Isaiah agrees. What, 2 overs in Cup Match, and that was it. So you have to pick them, and you have to expose them. You have to. That's why you pick them.
Yeah, exactly. And that was my game. Yeah, and that was my being with Connie, with the Connie too. You picked those 2 young boys, and between the 2 of them, I think they built like 2 overs, and that being the team for Berlin. Yeah. I don't understand the logic behind that, but like you said, sometimes things don't go accordingly to how you plan it. But sometimes you if you pick a team, you gotta know. These 2 boys. You gotta have faith in them. You gotta build.
It's funny you say that, because I've seen times in games where the team will get out cheap, and the skipper will rotate or change the bowling lineup, and it throws the other team off a lot of times. You know, couple of times even up and we played up Rangers, Dean, and we were out for what 100 or 90 or whatever, and was able to build Rangers out for less than that because Bender would change the Berlin lineup.
Of course.
You know,
of course.
You bring in Chick as the opening bowler, or you bring Calabash as the opening bowler, and they're struggling to get because they looked at the scoreboard and said, "Oh, we can get these runs easy." Before you know it, it's 5 back in the pavilion. You're in the tail. And you could build around the one standing batsman that got left.
And you said that's good to do that in 2020, like 50 overs in 2020.
Right.
Once you play a cup match or
that's a big difference.
No, that's not. Come on, that's a little different.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything about it?
You're an open bill with a coat.
Right.
No.
Anything about it? What the teams are doing? Like St. David's built the best 3 bowlers and beat.
That's right.
Destroyed Bay. You know what I
They're
mean?
either going to lose, they're either going to win or lose with the best 3 they have up front.
Exactly. So in cup match, sometimes you could probably do the same thing. Like little boy Grease only build a couple of overs. So at that time, I think they were trying to build the battle builders. Like what Elias was doing, it was rotating them in and out. But they never scored enough runs for this little boy to build that.
Yeah.
You know, you got to give him something to build at. Like, and same thing for Bay. They didn't score enough runs for the coach to build at.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, if you look at the Eastern Conference and Cup match, like St. George's and Bay, like they're trying to win the trophy. They both done the same thing, and both of them they make no runs.
Right. Yeah.
So the
It's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ironic, and so the little coke burlers couldn't be used. You know, like I don't know. Sometimes it don't go according to plan, innit?
No, but you gotta have a plan B and C.
Wow. Yeah, exactly.
And it's good for A.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, and guess what? A didn't work. He threw it out. Where's playing B? We didn't have one. Okay, well, let's just go if he flowed.
Go get playing A back and turn it upside down and see what we get.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we got another comment. Okay, Somerset scored 222 for 6 with Rangers scoring.
Really?
No, that'll have been Bailey's Bay,
real.
145 for 9. Yeah, that'll have been Bailey's Bay. So
That's
Somerset.
the real one. That game was last week, isn't it, or a week before?
Yeah, but I think he meant Bailey's Bay.
Oh, okay.
So Somerset did back fresh today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that would put Somerset ahead of Bayless Bay. Bayless Bay would have stayed on 40 points. Let me just quickly bring that up so I can make sure I'm saying it right. In the table, we can look and we'll see. Yeah. Somerset and Rangers are on 60. Bayless Bay is on 50. St. George's are on 50. St. David's on 30, and Willicox don't have any points. And with only 1 week to go, St. David's and Willicox will have been relegated. In the first division, Warwick and Western Stars moved to 60. Cleveland are on 40. Flats are on 30 with PHC. And Somerset Bridge and Devonshire Rack both have 20 points. So
Interesting.
Warwick and
Very
Western
interesting.
Stars
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
have a 20-point lead, but 3 weeks to go. The problem, Bayless Bay, no problem. That's fine. Bayless Bay. 3 weeks to go in the first division, and Warwick will be losing several of their players who will be returning to school. I'm not sure if it's this week or next week, but they've done the business today to give themselves a 20-point lead over the third place team. But they would need to secure a victory next week in order to solidify a spot going up, which then creates another problem because obviously these guys don't come back right at the beginning of the season, and you'll be playing in the Premier Division. In if the format stays the same, what happens? So very interesting, very interesting. Yeah. So again, Somerset would have defeated Bayless Bay. Somerset 2 for 6, and Bayless Bay 145 for 9. So not a good weekend for Bayless Bay.
No.
Yeah. One they would want to quickly forget.
If they have a call, make sure it's just all right.
all on social media today, there were people calling out for her, and I didn't see anybody say that she replied. So she's in her emotions. She'll be okay. She'll be okay. She'll be good. Beverly will bounce back. Trust me. She'll be strong, Lord, and she'll have another flag next year, mate. Running around Lords.
There you go.
The tears that were shed yesterday, the old one.
Yeah. Be all happy.
Yeah.
That's what you call passion.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah,
Well, guys, I
okay.
want to thank you again for another good night.
What happened there, Doc?
I know. He's going to left us, isn't it?
Has he left us?
Well,
All right, mate.
see you tomorrow.
Definitely. I'm going to
Okay.
leave the studio. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right, buddy.